Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Fisher's Price Great Adventures. Today I'm going to be talking about the first pirates that I had when I was a kid. I have the original ship pirates, the Yellowjacks, and the Claw Crew. And I just want to say, right before I jump into talking about all the different guys that we have here today, if you saw my last episode, you know that I didn't have the castle to go along with the knights that I was talking about. And upon further looking into a storage unit, I was able to find these treasures. You probably thought I was going to say the castle or maybe even a ship. No, unfortunately, all I got is three launching balls. What it looks like the treasure chest that actually comes with the original ship. And this one I wasn't quite sure about until I actually did some research, but this is actually a table that also comes with the ship. It's kind of a frame of reference to one of the guys there. So, here we go. Let's get started. Okay, first we're going to talk about the 5 guides you get with the original Great Adventures Fisher-Price ship. Now, ship always needs a captain, and that's who we got here up in front. The captain comes with obviously the captain qualities. We have the captain hat, we got a nice belt, sword in one hand, handgun in the other, and what is a pirate without missing a limb? So we have a nice little peg leg there. Next on our list is our big shooter man. He's got the biggest gun out of the crew. He's also got the blue hat to match the captain. And I have to say that this guy, based on his hat, I don't know if you can see the detail of his hat here, but he gives me a big hairy vibe from Home Alone. Now if you've seen that, you can see the kind of wear the similar style hat, and so because of that, I'm deeming this guy the meanest pirate, at least on the red crew here. The next guy we got here is my first non-Caucasian character. This one is missing a hand, so he's got the classic hook, knife or sword in the other hand, I would say. Going a little off the board with a green hat, and this guy specifically. This is a way older reference, but it's from Fantasy Island, and this guy reminds me of Tattoo. And that is solely based on the fact that I could see him going to his captain and saying, the plane is here. The plane. So, for that, this guy is going to be Tattoo. Next, we have what I would say is probably the most athletic pirate on this crew. And the reason for that, actually, before we get into that, this is our first, I guess, eye patch. Even those guys, none of these guys you're going to see have eyes. Actually, I don't think any Great Adventures Fisher-Price guys have eyes. Anyways, he's got the eye patch, he's got the sword in one hand, and then he's got the knife in the mouth, which comes into me saying how athletic this guy is. You can see here that his free hand is in a very hook-like shape, and that is because I believe he is the one who's supposed to be climbing up the ship's rope to the crow's nest. And I know how hard it is just to do one pull-up, let alone climb up rope to a crow's nest on a moving ship. So That's why I have this guy deemed the most athletic out of the bunch. And last but not least here, we got this guy. Now, this guy comes with like a miniature cannon, and then he's also side saddling a knife here. I kind of like this guy because he's got the grayish hair, so I think he's a little bit older, but I deem him as also being very wise. I don't know if it's the eyebrows. I mean, look at those eyebrows, but I feel like on the crew, he's kind of that older guy that you go for, you go for talks or advice, things like that. Also, I mean, he's got a miniature cannon. Like, that's probably the heftiest weapon that we're going to see today amongst all these different pirates. So, that's why I have him deemed the smartest on this crew. And that is our red team. Next, we have our Yellow Jacks and our Claw crew. Now, you bought this as one single unit, which I thought was pretty cool. It's a pretty hefty add-on that you're able to purchase. And first off, I'm going to start with the Yellow Jacks because I think they were my favorite out of the two. Now, when it came to the Yellow Jacks, the design didn't stray too far away from our original red crew that we saw, and I'll show you some examples. So, for instance, our captain here, he's got the same setup as our red captain that we saw earlier with the hat, the belt, even the sword and the gun. They're on the same hand as well as the peg leg. What I do really like about this is the color combination of the yellow and the light blue. I don't know why, but it just really sticks with me. It's looking really good. Moving on to our next guy, again, not straying far away from the red crew at all, as we can see here. Same setup, same style. Again, rocking the light blue with the yellow. Really big fan of that. Continuing our pattern here, we have our third, essentially kind of a repeat, but obviously some differences with skin tone, hair color, even our hook on this guy is black. I don't know how he would have got that black, maybe painted. But this time he elected to go with the white sleeves instead of the light blue sleeves, which still doesn't look too bad. Saving the best for last, in my opinion. This guy has no resemblance to any of the guys in red. This guy is actually, I would say, in my top 3 for favorite figures. Details that I really love about this guy is his knife. It's kind of like a fish. Like, it looks like a fish. Hopefully you guys can see that. So I think that's really cool. He's kind of got like a, I don't know, it kind of looks like a harpoon. Like, we got pointy on each end with some rope. And at first, you think he's holding a flag, which is respectable because we got a Pirates logo on there. But when you turn it around, we really see that it's like pants or even maybe like long johns. And referencing back to my first video, I talked about one of the knights that had a hot dog on his weapon, and I thought that it was hilarious. And we're hitting that same spot here with a pair of pants flying as flag. So that is why this guy is in my top 3. Okay, moving on to the Claw crew here. I would say that what's interesting about these guys is they kind of went in a non-traditional weaponry route, and I'll get into more detail on that. So, for instance, our captain here, I guess you could say Captain Claw. First off, I just want to say he's giving me a real big Pirates of the Caribbean vibe. I think it's Davy Jones. It's the guy with like tentacles on his face, but then he's got like a lobster claw, just like our captain here. And what is a captain without a parrot? Or I guess even just any pirate without a parrot. So we also have our parrot, and just another note here, even the parrot doesn't have any eyes. It's kind of funny. Next, kind of our, I would say kind of our right-hand man here. And why am I deeming that? Well, because he's got the map to something. Maybe that treasure chest that I was talking about earlier. And he's got the telescope. And so, realistically, no kind of weapons. I will say that when I was a kid, this guy didn't fight too much, but if he had to fight, then he definitely was poking people in the eye with the telescope. So, he wasn't totally defenseless. Next we got this Macho Man. Now, you can compare him to a guy from our red crew here. They have the same, I would say, body type, same facial features, even got that ponytail. This guy's different in a couple ways. Oh, and he's got the side saddle, the knife as well. But obviously we have an anchor. This guy's got an anchor. And sleeveless. Like, okay, I have to show. Like, this guy is ripped. Like, I guess it goes to show because he's carrying an anchor around. Like, I don't know for what boat this anchor belongs to, but those things are supposed to hold boats down, and he's just carrying this thing around. So, no freaking wonder that this guy is so jacked. So, he's probably, like, arguably, he is the strongest one out of the bunch, for sure. And last guy here from the Claw crew is this guy. Now, vaguely, we can compare him to our big shooter from before, and that's basically based off of the way that they're holding, well, what they're holding. Not even their hat's kind of the same, but not really. So, yeah, again, not a traditional weapon. I'm pretty sure this is a shovel. Like, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure this is a shovel. But then again, why does it have rope on it if it's a shovel? Not really sure. All I can say is that back when I was playing with them, I actually treated this as a harpoon gun. And I think that's what I used. That's why there was rope attached, because there was rope attached to the harpoon part. He'd shoot the harpoon, and then be able to drag it back, I guess, essentially to itself. And also have to admire the handlebar mustache on this guy. Looking really good. Okay, so this part is kind of where I'm going to explain how I kind of remember doing my storyline when I was a kid when it came to these guys. If you watched my first video, you know that when I was a kid, I was really into each side being even. Now, the yellow guys were the good guys for me, and the guys in red were the bad guys. Now, as you can see, actually, even before we get into that, I just have to ask. I'm not even going to ask. I'm really just going to rant, but we have 9 guys in red here. 9. And then we have our 4 guys in yellow. I'm going to bring up one of my faves here, who's supposed to be on the yellow jackets. You know, he's flying the yellow flag. Why did they put him in red? So many different colors, but they put him in red, which 9 other guys have. Like, you could argue that he should be on this side. He's wearing red. I think, in my opinion, you take this red shirt, you change to that baby blue, light blue, whatever you want to call it. Looks great, looks amazing, and then there's no confusion. So, sorry, back to what I was saying. We have 9 red guys versus 4 yellow guys. How did I rack my brain around that? don't fully know. All I do know is that I took our shovel man here, and basically because I'm gonna lift up his arms here. Basically because he was rocking a non-red overshirt, he always made its way to the yellow side. I think he would start on the red side and get sucked over to the yellow side. And honestly, I might have done that too with this guy a couple times, where he started on the red and then went to the yellow. But besides that, I mean, there's nothing really else I could have done, because arguably all of these guys is full red. Like, you can't do anything about it. For our next part, I'm just going to show you who was versus who in battle. So I think this was a pretty easy one. You just have captain versus essentially both captains. 2 versus 1, not very even, but considering the numbers, I think, especially with this guy not having, he doesn't have a gun. So still, you don't want to be messing around with that crab claw, but it kind of makes it not too bad with the 2-on-1. So these ones I just kept really simple. Just pretty much went with their opposite twin. Like I said, straightforward. They're the same, so it was just easy to pair them up. So these guys I put together because, like I said, originally this is a shovel, but I turned it into kind of that harpoon gun, which is fairly relatable to, well, an actual gun. Kind of. I don't know. You're a kid. I was a kid, so imaginations take over. So that's who went against each other. So last but not least, of course, we got my favorite man here versus 3. Not really sure how I made that work. This guy probably stayed in the back, actually, come to think of it. Like I said, if he was fighting, it was because, or if he was fighting, he was using his telescope to poke you in the eye, so I'm not sure how much of that he was doing. But yeah, I guess this being my favorite guy, I'm sure that he would be able to defeat one or more of these guys pretty quickly, and then kind of make the numbers a little bit even. But yeah, he's got two strong competitors here, and then we kind of got the whatever guy in the back. But I guess that's just how it worked. Alright guys, so that's pretty much sums it up for the original Pirates that I had as a kid. I appreciate you taking the time to watch the video. I'm excited to say that new Pirates have been ordered, and they should be on their way. But next episode is going to be on some Magic Castle related things, so stay tuned for that next video.